So my next guest went from being backup quarterback, considering retirement, to this year's Super Bowl most valuable player, leading the Philadelphia Eagles to victory over Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Ouch. And he is sharing his story in his new book, Believe It, My Journey of Success, Failure, and Overcoming the Odds. Here now exclusively on The Story tonight, quarterback Nick Foles. Nick, it is so good to see you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
From me and all the Patriots fans and members of Patriots Nation, everybody respects what you did in that game.
I know that takes a lot.
And
so
yeah, believe me.
I know, hey, it takes a lot to say that, so I appreciate it.
So you belong to an elite club of quarterbacks who have Super Bowl rings, and an even smaller club who have beaten Tom Brady in a Super Bowl, you and Eli Manning. So my question for you, when you walked in there that night, did you sense that team was vulnerable, that he was vulnerable, that you could beat him after the hand injury and everything else that week?
Yeah, it was more so just from what I knew we had in the locker room, just with the guys throughout the season, the adversity we had faced as a team. Going against the Patriots, one of the, if not the greatest franchise of all time, I mean, that's who you want to go against. Tom Brady, Belichick, that's who you want to face. So, you know, preparing for the game with my teammates, I was really confident. We played with a lot of swag, a lot of energy.
Sure did.
If you see in the locker room, a lot of dancing, so we were ready to play.
Yeah, I was there that night. I have to say, when you guys walked out, you could feel the energy. You could feel how pumped up you guys were. And I was worried from the very first second of the game. I got to ask you this. You know, Tom Brady tried to catch a pass and run it in for a touchdown. He failed. Shortly later, you tried to do the same thing, and you succeeded. Did you do that to kind of rub it in a little bit?
You know, it does appear that way, and I know that, you know, Eagles fans will probably use it. But no, honestly, we had the Philly special in the game plan weeks prior, and we were going to use it in the Super Bowl one way or the other. And it just so happened that they tried to play a couple plays before we did, and it, you know, if anything, it reminded me, hey, make sure I look it all the way in. And you know, once we executed it, the Philly special came to life.
You made it look easy, and it was a great play that I don't think anybody will ever forget. Malcolm Butler was not put in the game by Coach Belichick, and a lot of Patriots fans believe that was one of the real vulnerabilities for them that night. Were you surprised that he wasn't in?
You know, I was so into the game. You know, we've played against so many DBs. I've never really worried about the DBs too much. Butler's a great player. He's very physical at the line. He's got a great skill set. So, I mean, I guess you're a little bit surprised, but at the same time, I'm not really focused on that. I mean, I'm not worried about what they're doing. I'm just going to go out there, play, recognize their coverage, and trust my receivers to, you know, beat the DBs and beat them off the ball, beat them in their routes. And I got to expect, you know, to put the ball on the money every single time. And that was my mindset in the game. I wasn't really dwelling on him not playing, though, you know, he's a tremendous player. And watching him on film, he was going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you played so relaxed and so smooth. And I wonder, you know, you've had a lot of adversity, as you point out in your book. You almost quit the game a couple of years before you won the Super Bowl. So how do you get there? You say there's two Nick Foles, and you needed to separate them. What does that mean?
You know, I think that sometimes we get an identity in what we do, and it's not really who we are. It's a part of who we are. I think my identity as an athlete, you're treated based on how you play. So if you have a good game, you know, sometimes you're treated better. If you have a bad game, you know, everyone's afraid to talk to you. And I think that eventually wears on you. And you don't want to be treated as what your stats say. You want to be treated as the person. And, you know, dealing with that throughout my career and, you know, facing that battle, you know, that's been ongoing. I think it finally came, you know, to that climax in St. Louis, to where after that season I had lost the joy of the game and I needed to step back a little bit. And ultimately I decided that I was going to step away from the game, and I thought that's what was best. And it was the best thing to just take a breath and breathe. And then, you know, I was really facing the fear going back to the game because it had sort of entrapped me. I didn't want to touch a football. I didn't want to play again. And, you know, a Texas boy saying that, who grew up, you know, touching a football the first day he's born, it's really hard. So you love something your entire life, and all of a sudden you lose it. But, you know, the joy came back. You know, I prayed about it with my wife, and, you know, a lot of tears were shed. But I played for Andy Reid, his entire staff, and that Kansas City team helped me get the joy and love of the game back.
You talk a lot about God and about your faith. How does that sustain you?
Yeah, I mean, I gave my life to Christ as a freshman at Michigan State. I knew who Christ was growing up, but I didn't really give my life to him until that year, until basically, you know, I had my shoulder repaired. I was at Michigan State, you know, thousands of miles away from home, from Texas, and, you know, I was going through a lot with football once again, and just being in school and college and everything that goes along with it. And I would say that through the trials, through the ups and downs, just leaning on Christ, leaning on God's word through prayer, never for prosperity, never for that. I know that when I'm going through trial, God's always trying to teach me something and allow me to grow. And I can tell you that through the ups and downs, my heart's continued to shape even more so. A big thing throughout my career was my wife getting sick with dysautonomia, POTS, post-orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So that's been a trial that's been in our life, but it's grown us closer together. She's resilient, she's amazing, and now she's got a platform to really spread awareness for POTS.
You're a beautiful family, and no doubt that kind of experience gives you perspective on life.
Absolutely.
What's important. In terms of next season, is Carson Wentz healthy? Are you going to be the backup? What do you expect?
I expect Carson to get a full recovery, be ready to go. I don't know when. I'm going to let the doctors do this thing. He needs to get healthy. I'm a big fan of him. He's a tremendous player. He's going to have a great career. I'm excited to, be in Philly for this next year, to be a part of this team. It's a great atmosphere. I'll be the backup quarterback, probably the first quarterback ever in Super Bowl history to do this.
That's amazing, right? I mean, you win a Super Bowl and you come back and you've got the ring and you think you'll be backup.
Carson Wentz, arguably going to be the MVP last year. He's a great player. We have such a stacked quarterback room with, Nate Sudfeld, Joe Callahan. The room is stacked. It's a great group of guys. Nate's going to have an opportunity. Joe's going to have an opportunity to play. They're both tremendous players, and it's just a very unique situation in Philadelphia right now.
All right, stick around 1 second because our resident Eagles fan, Jesse Waters, is going to join us coming up next. Before we say goodbye, we'll be right back.